Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to install Windows Server 2016 to a virtual machine. So I'm going to go ahead and load my VirtualBox. So far I have Windows 7, Windows 10, I have Kali Linux. Now I'm going to hit New, and we're going to type in Windows Server 2016. Okay, make sure that Windows 2016 64-bit is selected right down here on the version. It's really important that this is 64-bit. If it's not 64-bit, you're going to run into errors. Next, 2048 is the amount of RAM that we want to give this, 2048, that's good. Hit next. Create a virtual hard disk now, that's good. Hit create. VDI is good, hit next. Dynamically allocated is good, hit next. 50 gigs is good, hit create. We're going to double click on this Windows Server 2016 to power it up, and then we're going to be prompted to select the ISO file. The ISO file is a virtual CD or DVD-ROM, so all the files that are within a CD or DVD-ROM can be found in here. We need to go to the share drive. We go to Main West. We go to Students, AAT, find cybersecurity in here, which is right there, cybersecurity, Windows Server 2016 64-bit. I hit open, and then I hit start. This installation actually should not be as difficult as the Kali Linux one. It should be a relatively easy one, similar to the Windows 7 and Windows 10. So not too bad. Alright, so we want to install English, keyboard method, United States. Hit next, then hit install now. Okay, Windows Server 2016 standard evaluation, that's exactly what we want. But we do want the desktop experience. This one, this option is useful when the GUI is required. So we do want to have the GUI interface. I don't want you to, you're going to have to do enough commands in the Linux thing. So we're going to do the standard desktop experience. Make sure you click on desktop experience, hit next. I accept the license terms and hit next. We're going to do custom install, select the hard drive and hit next. Now it's going to copy the files, and it's just going to walk through this. I mean, there's not much to say about this installation. You just need to be patient for it. I'm going to be pausing the video while this installs, and then I'll resume it as soon as I have to click anything else. Alright, so my install has been working for some time now, and it's already restarted one time, and now it's restarting again for a second time. During this time, do not press any key to boot from the CD. That's why it's really important not to be typing or pressing any keys while the virtual machine is installing. If you accidentally happen to press a key while that little menu, press a key to continue, while that menu pops up, it's going to ask you to reinstall the operating system, and it's going to be a whole thing to fix. You're going to have to restart or potentially reinstall. So just remember, especially during the restarts of the operating system or when it's booting up, do not touch any key. Now you can touch a key. Now we need to create a password. Please make sure that you use a password that you can remember. If you use a password that you can't remember, there's no way that I will be able to help you. So this says press Control-Alt-Delete to unlock, but if I hit Control-Alt-Delete, that's going to do it for the main computer or the host machine. It's not going to do it for this VirtualBox. So in order to hit Control-Alt-Delete, I have to go to Input, Keyboard, and then I go to Insert Control-Alt-Delete. And that will go ahead and insert Control-Delete for this particular computer. Now I type in the password that I just created. It's going to go ahead and start up. And then once this finishes, just like we did for Windows 7 and Windows 10 and Kali Linux, we're going to create a snapshot. So we got to wait for this to boot up first for the first time. There we go. This looks good. Okay. No, we do not want it to be discoverable on this network. So hit no for this. Give it a second. Fully boot up. Once this is fully booted, again, we're kind of looking down here at this hard drive. See, it's reading and writing a lot right now really fast. Just give it a second because it's still finishing the installation process. The first time that it boots up, it has to create a lot of files and folders and things like that to get your profile set up. So just kind of waiting for the hard drive right down here to die down, to stop reading and writing so fast. And once that does, we're going to go ahead and shut down the server, but we'll give it a second. Now Server Manager is going to pop up. We're actually going to be doing several things in here later on. Not going to do anything right now though. So don't worry about, we could close out of this. Actually, I like to keep Server Manager kind of up. This is where we're going to add all different types of things, like services and things like that. We're gonna create an Active Directory and a file server and a website. We're gonna do all kinds of things with this server. And you can see the different, you can see events and you can see all kinds of things right here. So potentially when we're trying to hack in to this server using Kali Linux, you'll see different events and you'll see different things right here. Okay, so we're almost booted up. I'm still kind of slowly waiting for this to stop flashing so much. See, it's reading and writing a lot to the hard drive right now. So we're just going to be patient, kind of wait for that to slow down. Doesn't have to be completely stopped, but we want to give it a little bit of time here. Remember, a server is a normal computer, but generally it has very powerful hardware on it, and we're not running this server operating system on very powerful hardware, so we want to be patient with it. Okay, so this is probably good. So I'm gonna just clear all out of there. We're gonna click on the start menu right down here, click on the power button, then go ahead and shut down. Now, generally, you don't shut down a server, but we are going to shut down a server. So this is going to be for maintenance. And hit continue. You could really select any of those things from that drop-down list. It doesn't really matter. It's just if you have other, you have to type something in. So I just select something from the list. Now it's going to go ahead and shut down the virtual machine. Now we want to take a snapshot. So I click on Take Snapshot, and we're going to call this right after install. And I click OK, and perfect. So now we have that that snapshot right there. And again, in order to use a snapshot, let's go ahead and boot up into the server. Not going to press any key to boot from the CD or DVD right now. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to install Guest Edition, so we need to do that. So I'm going to go to Input, Keyboard, Insert Control Alt Delete. Now I go to type in my password. Now we need to install Guest Editions. Good. Now we got that Windows Server 2016. I was waiting for that to be on there. That's perfect. We're going to go to Devices, Insert Guest Edition CD image. Give that a second. It might pop up with something. It might not though. See, it looks like it's thinking about it. This server is meant to run on pretty powerful hardware, so we just need to be patient with it. Now server manager's booting up here. Again, don't get too click happy. Click one time and then be patient with it. I'm going to go to this PC. There's my install guest editions. So I'll double click on that. This is Windows, but we got to select the 64-bit version because we're running a 64-bit operating system. So VBox Windows Edition AMD 64. Double click on that. Hit next. Hit next. Hit install. This will take a second to install. I'm going to want to hit install right there. While this installation is going on, I'm going to go ahead and pause my video here because it's going to take a minute. Okay, so that install was successful. I actually don't want to reboot now. I'll manually reboot later. I'm going to hit finish, close out of this, hit the start menu, give it a second to pop up. Whoops. Hit the power button, and I'm actually going to shut it down. Again, this will be for server maintenance, continue, or application maintenance, shut down the virtual machine. Now we're going to take another snapshot. So I click on current state right there, which is changed. It's different from right after install. I'm going to click take, and then right after just additions installation. So now that I've installed a piece of software, now I'm going to go ahead and create snapshots. It's important that as you move along in here, every time that you change your server, you change your Windows 7 machine, or you change a configuration in Kali Linux, I would take a snapshot of that so that you always can go back to that point. So now I can always restore back to this point. So I have my Windows Server right here. If I double clicked on it and launched it, let's say that I changed something. I'll go ahead and change something on here. Because we are going to be messing with these operating systems, I will hit input, keyboard, insert, control, delete. I'll type in my password right now. So let's say that we accidentally got a virus on here. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. There we go. So now I got this virus on here. Oh no, how do I get back? Well, there's two ways to restore a snapshot. So now that I know that like this isn't working right, number one, I could click on this X right there. I could click power off the machine, and then I can click this restore current snapshot. So this will go back in time to the last time that I took a snapshot. That's one way to do it. That's not the way that I'm going to do it. I'm actually going to click on the power off and shut this down. You can, again, from that drop down list, you can select anything. Now to restore that snapshot, I'm going to click on the right after install. I'm going to hit the restore button. I'm going to uncheck this create a snapshot and hit restore. That's going to go back in time to right after I installed the guest editions. So now I'm going to double click again on the server, and you'll see that virus that was sitting on the desktop before will not be on the desktop anymore. It's really important that you know how to use these snapshots and that you can restore, because you are going to be potentially breaking your virtual boxes. I'll do input, keyboard, insert control delete. We are going to be breaking these virtual boxes and trying to, you noticed now, no more virus on here, and like trying to write malware and viruses and things like that. So I'll close out a server manager. Notice there's no virus on there. So it's really important that, like, if your machine gets infected with something, your virtual machine gets infected with something, that you have the ability to restore. Again, I think you can see the advantage of using virtual machines over actual physical computers, because if you had a physical computer, you'd have to just basically reinstall the operating system at that point. But with virtual machines, we can just restore a snapshot. Alright, I'm going to shut this thing down. Maintenance, continue. It's going to shut down, and then that's going to be it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got your Windows Server 2016 installed. Let me know if you have any questions.